On today's episode of The Hustling Agent, I have Gary Ashton. Gary is the #1 Remax team leader in the entire world. That's a lot of agents and a lot of teams. He's out of Nashville, Tennessee. He's a great, cool guy and delivers some great insight for all of us during this challenging time. Check it out. All right. Today I am talking to Mr. Gary Ashton from Nashville, Tennessee. You can see his billboard there. I've seen that thing in his house. Gary has the top Remax team in the world, completely dominates an entire...
Dominates.
Yes, dominates. Like, Nashville is your city. You have partnered with almost all the big sports teams there, right? And are in the stadiums and doing all kinds of unbelievable things, right? Yeah. So
nobody's playing right now, so it's kind of like, that's the best product placement right there.
Yeah, that is good, dude.
I feel like I'm representing Booge actually as well. I've got a Booge. I just realized I've got a Booge thing and then a Booge hat and a Nashville Predators shirt on.
What's Booge?
A website. It's a Remax bought Booge. It's Be Original or Jealous. Oh, so cool. That's the Remax platform is now on Booge. So remax.com. If you go there, you'll see.
Oh, I'll have to check it out.
Website. So Ido's a friend of mine. Ido is the founder of Booge.
Oh, cool. Very cool, man. So, and I kind of told you beforehand that I've been going around talking to agents I respect and look up to and admire and I'm friends with, to just have the conversation to share with other agents, because I've been super curious. I was online Sunday night looking for something relevant for my sales meeting on Monday, and I couldn't find anything that I really resonated with, right? Like, we all hear John talk, but it's hard for us to emulate that because that's John, right? So I wanted something just...
John Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what greater role model do you need, really?
So none. Yeah, exactly. He's been great throughout this. I mean, coaching has been really good. But I also want to talk to people like you. So what are you seeing out there in Nashville as far as like sales on average during this COVID?
So we have, and I don't know if this is the team in isolation, but I know that the sales in March were up 3.4% over last year. So that was obviously, you got the beginning of March and you got everything that was kind of leading in. So there's that momentum that was already there before the virus hit. So that's obviously a good sign, but you can kind of read into it maybe. And for me, looking at website traffic, I think the general public became more aware of what was actually going on when the NBA canceled the season, as it were. So then it started becoming real for people, and they started really watching the news and then becoming aware of it. So the traffic on the website, we were up a 40% increase of last year.
Wow.
So we were rocking. We were at the trajectory was like this. So that's how we've been for the last couple of years. We just keep on growing and growing and growing. So the first thing I saw was on literally, ironically, Friday the 13th is when the traffic dropped. So we went from like 8,000 a day to 5.5. So that's a pretty significant drop. But still, when you think about it, 5,500 people coming a day to the site is still pretty good. So
absolutely,
we had that kind of like, I almost feel like it was the week before New Year and the week after Christmas. Like, kind of like people were still, what the heck's going on? And then we had can't remember what date was the stay at home. What's that called?
Mandate. Shelter in place.
stay in place, yes. So then I think there's initially people were seeing that as, whoa, I got to stay home. Well, that's not too bad. So there's an element of before all the it really set in. So I think people were kind of enjoying that as an enforced break. And then we started seeing the traffic coming back. And then now the traffic is actually above last year's figures again, but not 40%, more like 10 or 15%. So the traffic is back there. So I think there's just changes in perception of people on where they are, because there have been layoffs. Obviously, Nashville is a big entertainment town, so there's no bars, no restaurants, cancellations of the hockey, cancellations of, so all the sporting events are gone. So we knew that, but then now we just had the cancellation of the CMA Fest, Music Fest.
Oh, wow.
So that's canceled. So there's all these long-term implications of lack of money. So obviously Nashville is a big tourist destination. So you got people with Airbnbs that are probably starting to wonder how, what they're going to do. But I think what we're seeing is people just are pivoting and changing and adopting. So there's a couple of things. We had the tornado just like a week, 2 weeks before.
That's right.
So that was created. So there's a lot of homes that were damaged, a lot of homes that were condemned. There were also apartment buildings that were condemned. So meant that there's a lot of people starting to look for homes. And there's also that element of, well, it's the wrong word to use, but it's perfect storm in that the interest rates are so low. I can now, it's awakening people to look and reevaluate what they were doing. Is that look at the, they're paying $2,500 a month to be having this cool downtown condo, an apartment. But now maybe I should, instead of my lease has been ended because of the condo, because of the storm, now I need to, should I rent again, or should I take advantage of all these people telling me how cheap it is to, it's cheaper to buy than rent. And so got some activity from that. So that's kind of like a false positive, but it kept the market going. Because the agents on the team have all been busy. And you were asking me if any of the agents are freaking out before we started this. And I said, no. We have people who are understandably concerned with what's going to happen, because nobody really knows right now. Does it end in 4 weeks? Does it end in 8 weeks? Does it end in 2 months? Everybody's still a little, I mean, if I could tell you that, oh yeah, everything's going to be fantastic, everybody's going to be back to work by the end of, what we in now, April, April, May. So May 1st, everybody's going back to work. Who knows? Maybe. So there's possibilities that may be June, July. So people are understandably concerned. But what I was just talking to one of the guys, Buck Rice, and he's a local sports journalist. So we do some advertising work with him. He's actually a client that bought a house, so
cool.
And a friend. So just chatting, and what was I going to say? Oh, just the market, like the perception of where we're going. Nobody really knows, but people are still buying homes because I know what I was going to say is that the momentum was going like this. It didn't go just stop. The momentum is momentum. So there's that inertia that was still carrying people through real estate transactions that started before. They're already getting divorced. They're already getting married. They're already having kids. So all those underlying, like the threshold of reasons that people need to move, those were still there. Now, if you could pause, or if you were thinking about selling your house, maybe now you might pause and reflect a little bit. But if you were already down that process, that you're already around about to buy that home, the momentum didn't stop. So what I'm saying is, like, everything's being put on pause, but some things you can't pause. It's just the momentum is too strong. So that's keeping everybody busy right now. I think there's a hangover from that. And then there's also the concern of, well, this is the first virtual spring market. So like Chris Lindell kind of coined that when we were talking about it. It's like, this is the first time people are going to start looking at homes virtually. And I was just on actually a really good call with the guys from BombBomb, Patrick at BombBomb. So, I've been a big proponent of BombBomb for a long time, but it's actually given me time to really delve into it. And Darren's going to kill me, but it's a great product, obviously. So we've been using it, but now I'm like, whoa, I didn't realize I could do this. I didn't realize I could do that. It's amazing.
Oh, really? I probably have no idea what you're talking to then.
Well, just because you like segmenting audiences and figuring out things and how you embed them into autoresponders. Some of this stuff should have done a long time ago, but like with most people, you're probably too busy because you're busy to do. That's that whole thing, work on the business or in the business at all. So when you're up and running, it's not like I wasn't working, but I was busy doing other things like going to conferences, meeting people, doing all the not high level stuff, but
pretty darn high level. I would call it pretty darn high level, my friend.
Right. So, but now I've got this time to really stop and go, whoa. So that conference in San Diego, canceled. That conference in wherever I was supposed to go, another one, canceled. So there's that time now I have a little bit more time. Although I don't feel like I have more time because now I feel like I'm on Zoom meetings all day long.
Yeah.
But it's given me the opportunity to here's my analogy. I like analogies, as you probably can tell. I feel like we were in a Ferrari driving along in a fog. So like 60, 70, so going pretty fast, but there's the fog here. And I can't go any, I know I can go up to 180, 200, but whoa, it's a fog. So it's not super dense, but so and all of a sudden essentially the analogy with the virus is now that's the fog's gone. And like, whoa, now I'm seeing, well, hang on, why is Suneet, get back on the highway over here. And now we're going up to 90 now. And if you're not with us, you're going to get left behind. You really need to be on board and following everything, adopting all this stuff that we should have been doing before, which we knew we had to do. And it's kind of like everything with accountability. Now we're really having time to really dig deep, and we've just done some stuff with Sisu. And that is, again, you guys know about Sisu? It's tracking.
I had it. I didn't like how it was working with Follow-Up Boss, so I've taken a pause on it. But that was something I paused.
So I think that we've worked out a lot of those kinks.
Okay.
So we've been working with Mark and the guys at Sisu. Now it's amazing, and that's that. Well, we knew you were making the calls, but now we've got to look at not just the number of calls, but the quality of calls, and then the engagement after the calls, and so that's leading then to changes in the stages and follow-up bus, because now you're out with an active client, and then you can really start getting. It's amazing. Actually, I really enjoy it. It's good. So
I need to call Scott and see the code he wrote to make it all work, huh?
Scott's not writing the code, but Scott is definitely. We're having calls, and between us, we're all figuring out what if we could do this, and what if, and then if you ask, because now it's enabling us to look at things slightly differently.
Good.
But because now I'm not just going, oh yeah, that's fantastic. Now we're like, well, that's good, but what about this and what about that? And which leads to questions. And Scott will go, yeah, and then maybe we could do this. And then we talk to Sisu and Mark, and then the call, the sync guys.
Real sync.
Real Sync, yes. So Real Sync is, I mean, everybody is now working together, which we were before, but now even more so. And now also I get to contribute, and which Scott needs, gets to look at things slightly differently. And so that's what I mean by the fog's disappearing a little bit. Now we got a little bit of a clearer vision of what we want to do, and maybe we're asking things of the agents that weren't appropriate. Now we can, so that's our fault. But now, because the fog's there, we can clearly see what we should have been doing. But now and then, that's just like, hey, Suneet, get back over here. Now you're back on track, and then utilizing some of the tools that have always been there. I mean, we've been doing virtual meetings. I'm sure you have to. We've been doing virtual meetings. Like Facebook gave me a reminder that Johnny was doing a scripting class of how to improve skills and that. Well, that was like, I think it was GoToMeeting like 8 years ago or something like that.
Yeah, GoToMeeting.
So this technology is not new. This is what we're doing right now. It's not new. But what it's done is force people to use it in a way. And I think that if you'd have said to people, hey, do you want to do an interview on Skype or whatever, you're like, ugh. And now, because it's so easy, it's making it a lot easier for people to do this. And then also, conversely, the public, when you say, hey, would you like me to do a virtual tour? Because I think I've said this before, maybe on my little ramblings on Facebook Live, is that this isn't new. Selling homes, sight unseen, this is not the first time it's ever happened. We've had numerous examples of people coming from out of state, and the agents have done a fantastic. Even when I was selling more, when I sold a home to the Titans general manager, I was working with it. They were in Seattle and they were moving to Nashville. They didn't know if they had a job yet, so I was going above and beyond, taking pictures and sending video. And this is in 2008. Was it 7 or 8? I think it was 7. So the technology's always been there. It's just now that people have realized that they can look at a virtual tour, but it's progressed to the point where, we use Matterport, we use agents are doing the Facebook Lives, they're doing FaceTime, they're using BombBomb obviously to engage, and it's pushing that. Like I said, it's not pushing, but people are adopting it, and instead of feeling like they're being strong-armed into using this technology, now people are going, whoa, this is pretty good. So you can do a virtual tour for me, and I can just stay at home. This is actually pretty good. So as I said before, like the Matterport and things like that, the thing that you can get to feel the flow of the home, and like Box Brownie are doing some amazing stuff with that. The 360 virtual tours, I think they're just coming out with that too. So now the only thing that you don't have, because do you have this, an Oculus Go? So, I mean, I can look really stupid putting this on, but you can do a virtual tour.
Yeah.
Like walk through. And we were doing stuff we were beta testers. I forgot the name of the company now. Anyway, live 360 virtual tours where you're in wherever you are, your wife's in Atlanta, pre-virus times, so you're on business. I can be in the house. I can be walking you through the virtual 360 virtual tour. We've all got headsets on.
That's brilliant, man.
We're all in the same room together live. So that's where it's been going for a long time. But now it's just become like an opportune time for people to really go, oh, this is actually cool. And seeing a lot of people getting the feedback from the public that this is wow, this is actually a pretty good way. Oh, and so the only thing you really don't get is what I was going to say is that you don't get that ambient fear. Like, when you walk into some places and you just feel like, I like this place.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that trying to figure out what that is what interior designers and architects and like my place, I feel like, oh, this is cool. What is
The
it?
place is cool, man. It's super
Right.
cool.
But it's because I had a really good interior design and a really good advice from the guys that were working on it. Like the hardwood floors, I would have gone darker, and they're like, no, you need to go lighter. And here's why. I was like, oh, all right. Doors were all like, you need to paint those white. Now, that's when you learn to take advice from people who know better than you. So
Yeah.
John Cheflack, again, perfect example. You don't say, why haven't you done this? What's going on here? How come you haven't done this? It's like, take a step back and you figure out the end result is the same, but it's the approach of why, what questions could you ask, and could you frame them better? Could you be a little bit more what's the word? Emotional intelligence.
Yes.
Understanding the motivations behind I can use all John's. What can we have done to help you?
Yeah.
The heart chooses, the mind. I always get them wrong. Tiny
me
hinges
too.
swing big doors. But I'm saying that, like, it's time to listen to those people. And so, like, when I was designing this place, I didn't really design it. The only thing I picked out was these lights behind me. Everything else was somebody else.
Oh,
And
wow.
I would know that, I don't want tile everywhere, but I want hardwood. But then what kind of hardwoods? I was guided down that path. And so with everything, it's always, it's enabling us as realtors to be able to guide people by using all these new tools. And I've forgotten where I was going with that. Time for a drink of water. Actually, water. So there's the other thing is, like, right now you can take all this opportunity, all this time you're supposed to drink a gallon of water a day, right? Well, yes, I am now drinking a gallon of water a day.
Same.
Because I'm not in my car running around. I'm not
Exactly
flying somewhere. I'm in this environment. So it's enabling people to develop good habits, I feel. Trying to get more exercise in, eating more water, drinking more water.
So what about, the solo agents, just the normal agent, not on a team, not on a brokerage, who sells the average amount of houses per year? It's their full-time job. What do you tell them? And
On my team.
Join the team. Yeah. How about, Ed, what kind of advice would you have for an agent here in Sacramento? Solo agent. Would the advice still be join a team?
I mean, the teams have been the future for a while. Teams were, and it's like, I feel like I'm regurgitating what everybody else has said, but when brokerages first started, the splits were so that the brokerage had money to be able to reinvest in the brokerage and then invest in training for the agents. And
sure.
So then people like 70-30. I can go to this new place and I'm going to get a 90-10. I'm going to get a 95-5. Okay, so you personally will make more money per deal. But then the person that's running that brokerage, if you get to those 100% brokerages, they don't always have the ability to generate enough money to be able to create an environment that will enable you to grow your business and help educate you. So I guess that's not true for all of them, but that's
I mean, yeah, that's why the team.
The other ones are kind of like vehicles for making money from title or making money from the mortgage. You know,
Yeah.
there's you have to have some money coming in some shape or form. If everybody's on 100%, then you charge in there's got to be revenue streams. If you're giving them 100%, there's an
Absolutely.
admin fee or whatever, but
That's what we
still it's
have. Yeah.
usually peripheral. So they're essentially the teams. So a team leader. So I'm spending a lot of money on generating money, generating money from doing advertising and marketing, and creating an environment where agents are learning all the time. This is the whole cliche, but that enables me to put money back into the business, and the money we're putting back into the business is to educate the agents to become better realtors. So there is economies of scale in that I can use that money to buy not just one billboard, but 80 billboards.
Sure.
So if you're an individual agent, do you want to try and compete with that? So probably not. But there's areas where you can compete, which is like really focusing on developing your sphere of influence and your past clients, and in a way that's right now, because we had such a juggernaut going along, like I said, the momentum, it's harder for me to all of a sudden cancel and stop everything in terms of the marketing, because right now we've got to reassess and maybe reconfigure a few things. As a single agent, if you focus on just your sphere, this is probably a time for you to double down on reaching out and calling past clients, checking in,
Calling
developing
everybody.
that relationship. You know, like sending the personal bonbon videos, sending the personal texts. So as a single agent, yeah, that's kind of what I would be doing. Is like not making all the sales calls, but making those deposits.
Yeah, another job thing. Yeah. Yeah, so since I have had some downtime this week, I did reach out on BombBomb to all my past personal business that I had done. I sent them all a personal BombBomb video, which took a full day, but it felt good, right? I mean, to connect with people who I hadn't talked to in many cases for years.
Yeah, for sure. And I was been doing that with a couple of my clients, because I don't really sell per se now, but still been just, I mean, here's an example. So I feel like with the weather that we've been having down here, there's been still some severe thunderstorm warnings and things
really?
coming out. But when the tornado came through, I slept through it, and I'm literally a mile away from where some of the damage was done. I didn't hear it, and because I was so tired that night, didn't have the TV on, so I didn't get a text or anything about, for some reason, and it wasn't just me, it's like 3 or 4 people in the building, we all said the same thing. It's like, oh, I didn't get the normal, the warning. You get
we don't get the tornado warnings, but do you guys get them on your phone out there?
Yeah, so this is like, when there's an Amber Alert, somebody goes missing, everybody, they all look down, like, what's this? So there's an awesome network. So we've had a couple of severe thunderstorms, but I feel like there's an element of people are not engaging as much as they were in watching TV. They're like, there's too much bad news, I'm turning it off. We're going to go now focus on hanging out with the family. We're going to go back to sitting, like old school, like in the 40s and 50s. Everybody was sitting around the family, talking, discussion.
Sure, talking to each other, right?
Correct. And so when the storms were coming through, I was texting people saying, hey, just wanted to let you know, you probably got your TV off. Just wanted to make sure you're aware. So in a way, that's you kind of reaching out to people, and without being salesy, because I'm not saying, hey, you thinking about selling your home? By the way, there's just want to let you know there's a thunderstorm. But you know, when you got that underlying, why is he texting me? I was just genuinely texting people and letting them know. But it engaged me to have people talk back and keep those lines of communication open. So then what happens then is that by default, people know that I'm in real estate. So at some point, they want to start talking about real estate. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's not the end goal, but it kind of organically helps you get to that point where at some point they're going to say, what's going on with the market? And then you can adopt that position as the authority figure in the market. So I guess what I was saying is for agents, you're asking what they should do. I should just be reaching out and adding value.
Yeah.
Whether that's letting people know who's doing restaurant deliveries or is there any dog parks that are open that you can take your dogs to? Are there, like, there's a company here called Bark Public House. So they just opened not that long ago. So awesome facility for doing grooming and doggy daycare. So now there's an element of dogs have been staying at home with their owners, and dogs are loving it. But now there's an element of, well, dogs need to be socializing too. You can't just hang out with you. The dogs. So there's a lot of people have realizing that it's good for the dogs to. You can't play with a dog like a dog plays with a dog, like running and chasing. You can do some of that. You can take them for walks, but they like to be hanging out with themselves. I should put that there.
Same with my kids, man.
Pro coronavirus.
Same with my kids. Like, I'm trying to get my 4-year-old on Zoom calls with other kids just so that she can see another kid, right? So,
yeah, exactly.
Kind of my last thought. Have you driven down Broadway lately since this has happened?
I've been down once. I took Reggie, my dog. We went for a walk at like 8:30 in the morning. It was a super nice day. So I thought, I need to get outside. And I had to go to the office to sign some checks. So I kind of killed 2 birds with 1 stone and took him for a long walk. And this is what I did Facebook Live, I think. Went for a walk and I went to places that I've always known were there, but I just never actually, driven past, but never actually walked to the Capitol building and walked around and saw some of the statues and the history that goes with that. So I kind of like history, so it was cool. And then one of them, I'm waffling on here, but one of them was Alvin C. York, who's was in the First World War, and he was a soldier. So the statue was as a First World War guy, like stood like this. Turns out it was Alvin C. York. So I read why he was there, and he was
cool.
He actually captured a battalion and was single-handedly. Well, it turns out that's one of my good friend's great uncle.
Oh, neat. History.
Who knew, right? So.
But so all the businesses down on Broadway, all those.
Oh, so then I did go down to Broadway. Yeah. Sorry, I digressed again.
Laid off, huh? All the musicians, everybody.
Well, so not all of them. So because some of the bars and restaurants on there were restaurants, so they're still ticking over by doing deliveries. So curbside delivery. So there's a couple where you can still do the social distancing. So it's not illegal to be going out and having a drink. It's not encouraged that people are in groups of 10 and more, but you can still go and pick up your tacos or hamburgers or whatever, but still practice social distancing. While you're waiting, you can still get a margarita or whatever. So people are adapting. And like, I think, there's a lot of musicians. I have a lot of friends who are musicians there. They're doing live streaming.
Yep.
People like Keith Urban's doing live streaming from his studios. I have a friend that owns Nashville K9. He's a dog training facility. That's where I took my dog. So he trains a lot of the celebrity dogs and things like that. Celebrity owners, sorry, they have dogs. And, so he's now doing an online training.
Oh, neat.
So that you can subscribe to. So, I mean, everybody's got to try and figure out a way to pivot, adapt, and change. Just kind of like realtors are doing. All of a sudden, everybody's doing virtual tours. Everybody's doing virtual closings. Consultations are now being done through Zoom. So everybody's adapting and changing.
Good.
I feel.
Well, man, cheers. Thank you for the call today. I think that's really good insight. Yeah, I'll post this and let you know, and I'll give you a tag in it too.
Okay, awesome.
Cool, man.
All
Thank
right,
you.
I hope you're doing good. You obviously are. Stay safe, and we'll see you in Nashville.
Yes, sir. See you soon, Gary. Thank you.
I hope you got something out of that conversation with Gary. If you did, follow us on Facebook, like us on Instagram, subscribe on YouTube, and we'll see you next time on another episode of The Hustling Agent.